Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ahmed and I am a student of Rehan School Colony campus. So my today topic is water, the organ of life and language. So my today guest is Maya.
Hey, what's new?
Hi Maya.
Hey, Maya. It's good to hear from you. What's on your mind today?
So my first question is what is water?
Going straight for the big questions. I love it. In the simplest terms, it's that clear, tasteless liquid that keeps us alive. But if you want the science side, it's two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom bonded together. Are you looking for the chemistry of it or more of the why is it so important angle?
Okay. My next question is why is water important?
Basically, because everything that's alive is mostly made of it. It does all the heavy lifting, carrying nutrients to your cells, regulating your temperature, and keeping things moving inside your body. Without it, the whole system just shuts down. Does that make sense, or do you want to dive into the specific ways it helps the body?
My third question is where can we find water?
Pretty much everywhere once you start looking. Obviously, we've got the big stuff like oceans, lakes, and rivers, but it's also hidden in glaciers, underground aquifers, and even in the air as vapor. It's even in you. Do you want to know about the weird places it hides in nature?
Can people live without water?
Short answer, you can go a while without food, but without water, the body starts to struggle pretty quickly. It's basically the fuel that keeps every single organ running. I've heard the general rule is about 3 days, though it depends on the environment. Does that sound about right to you?
The next question is why do we drink water?
Because our bodies are essentially high maintenance water balloons. Every time you sweat, breathe, or just go about your day, you're losing water. Drinking it is the only way to top off the tank so your brain stays sharp and your heart pumping. Do you think you drink enough of it in a day?
My next question is do plants need water?
Absolutely. They actually use it through photosynthesis. Without it, they just wither away. Do you have any plants at home that you're looking after?
Do animals need water?
They definitely do. Just like humans, every animal needs water to survive and keep their bodies functioning. Whether it's a tiny insect or a blue whale, they've all got to stay hydrated. Do you have a favorite animal you're thinking of?
My next question is what color is
Almost.
clean water?
Water is actually though if you look at a deep pool or the ocean, it starts to blue because of the way water are looking at it.
My next question is water a liquid?
It is. Most of the time, yeah. But it's actually a bit of a shapeshifter. It can be a solid when it's ice or a gas when it's steam. Have you ever seen it change states like that?
What is ice?
Ice is just water that's chilled out enough to turn into a solid. It happens when the temperature drops to 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And those water molecules lock together in a crystal structure. Ever wonder why ice floats instead of sinking?
Okay. What is
You've been on a
steam?
roll with these questions. Steam is the other extreme. It's what happens when water gets so hot that it turns into a gas. Molecules start moving so fast that they just break away from each other and float off into the air. You see it most often when a pot of water is boiling or when you take a hot shower. Do you think it's wild that the same stuff can be a hard cube of ice and an invisible gas?
Can water change form?
It absolutely can. Like we just talked about with ice and steam, it's all about the temperature. Heat it up or cool it down, and it completely transforms. I've always found it fascinating that something so simple can act so differently depending on how hot or cold it is. Do you think you've seen any other things that can change form like that?
What happens when water freezes?
It expands. Most things shrink when they get cold, but water is a rebel. As it freezes, the molecules form a lattice that actually takes up more space than when it was a liquid. That's why a water bottle can burst if you leave it in the freezer too long. Pretty wild, right?
What happens when water boils?
It turns into a gas. The water gets so energetic from the heat that the molecules basically say, I'm out, and fly away from each other as steam. It's the exact opposite of freezing, where they lock together. Do you like the sound of a boiling pot, or do you find it a bit too loud?
Where does rain come?
It's all part of the big cycle. Basically, the sun heats up water from the oceans and lakes, turning it into vapor that rises into the sky. Once it gets high enough and cools down, that vapor clumps together to form clouds. And when those clouds get too heavy to hold it all, it falls back down as rain. It's like the earth is just recycling its own water over and over. Have you ever tried to spot the exact moment a cloud decides to start raining?
What is loud?
Hmm. Loud is basically just sound that has a lot of energy. It's when sound waves hit your ears with a lot of force, whether it's a shout, a crashing wave, or a really noisy vacuum cleaner. It's that feeling where the sound almost takes over the whole room. Do you have a favorite sound that's actually pretty loud?
What is a reviver?
That's a word that can mean a few different things depending on who you're talking to. Usually it's about bringing something back to life or making it strong and popular again. It could be a religious revival where people get really fired up about their faith, or even a career revival when an actor or musician becomes a hit again after a long break. It's basically a big comeback. Does that fit the context of where you heard it? Glad that cleared it up. We've been asking some great questions today.
What
Want
is
to keep
a
going with a
lake?
new topic, or is there something else on your mind? Bye bye. It was great chatting with you today. Take it easy. You've got me there. I'm still here and ready whenever you are. Let's up.
Can fish live without water? What?
Definitely not. They need it to breathe. Fish use gills to pull oxygen directly out of the water, so once they're out of it, they can't get that oxygen they need to survive. It's kind of the opposite of how we work. Do you think it's weird that they breathe water while we breathe air?
What is a reviver?
We actually just touched on this one. Like I mentioned, it's basically a big comeback, bringing something back to life or making it popular again. Whether it's a religious movement or a musician hitting the charts again, it's all about that renewal energy. Did that not quite stick, or are you thinking of it in a different way?
What is a lake?
In the simplest terms, it's the part of the body that supports your weight and gets you from point A to point B. It's a complex mix of bones, muscles, and joints that lets you walk, run, and jump. For humans, it's everything from the hip down to the ankle. Are you thinking about how they work, or maybe how different animals have different kinds of legs?
Why do farmers use water?
Because without it, their whole business basically disappears. Plants need to grow, obviously, but farmers also use water
Why
to keep
is
the soil
water
healthy, cleaner.
used
Quake can't
for
really do with
cooking?
mostly because it's a great way to transfer heat. Whether you're boiling pasta or steaming veggies, water helps cook food evenly and quickly. Plus, it's perfect for breaking down tough fibers and things like beans or meat to make them tender. Do you have a favorite thing to cook that starts with a big pot of boiling water?
What is drinking water?
It's just water that's safe for you to swallow. Not all water is created equal. You wouldn't want to drink from a puddle or the ocean, for example. Drinking water is filtered or treated to make sure it's clean and free of stuff that could make you sick. Do you prefer your water straight from the tap or from a bottle?
Is clean water good for health?
It really is. Space is a foundation for everything. It helps your brain think clearer, keeps your skin healthy, and makes sure every organ in your body can actually do its job. It's like the ultimate health hack that's available.
Can dirty water make us sick?
It absolutely can. Dirty water can carry all sorts of bacteria, parasites, and chemicals that your body just isn't equipped to handle. That's why filtering or boiling it is such a big deal if you aren't sure where it's coming from. Have you ever had to use a filter or treat water before drinking it? I can't actually control your screen or close the window for you. You'll have to do that part yourself. Was there anything else you wanted to chat about before you go?
Can dirty water make us sick?
Yeah, like I was just saying, it really can. It's usually because of the bacteria or parasites hiding in there that can mess with your stomach or make you feel really unwell. Are you worried about some water you've seen or just curious how it works?
Why should we save water?
Wait, hold on. Actually, we generally should save water. It's a finite resource, and making sure we don't waste it helps everyone and the planet. Why do you ask? Did someone tell you that saving it is a bad thing? No problem. You're on a roll today with these questions. Want to keep diving into water, or should we switch gears to something totally different?
How can we save water?
There are tons of little things that add up. Taking shorter showers is a big one, or turning off the tap while you're brushing your teeth. You can also use a watering can for plants instead of a hose, or even just make sure you're only running the dishwasher when it's actually full. Do you do any of those already, or are you looking for some new ideas to try?
What is the water cycle?
It's basically the Earth's way of recycling its own water over and over again. It starts with the sun heating up water from oceans and lakes, which turns into vapor and rises. That's evaporation. Then it cools down and forms clouds, which is condensation. Finally, when those clouds get too heavy, it falls back down as rain or snow, which is precipitation. Then the whole thing starts all over again. Does that make sense? Or do you want to know about the weirdest part of the cycle?
What is rain?
Rain is just the precipitation part of that cycle we were talking about. It's what happens when those clouds get so full of water droplets that they can't hold on to them anymore and they finally fall back down to earth. Do you like the sound of rain on the roof, or are you more of a sunny day person?
What is snow?
Snow is basically frozen rain. When the temperature in the clouds is low enough, the water vapor turns directly into ice crystals instead of liquid droplets. Those crystals clump together to form snowflakes, which are actually unique little works of art. Do you like playing in the snow, or do you prefer to stay inside where it's warm?
What is waterfall?
I'm guessing you mean a waterfall. That's basically when a river or stream flows over a steep cliff or ledge and drops down into a pool below. It's usually a pretty dramatic sight and makes a lot of noise because of all that water crashing down at once. Do you like the way they look, or do they seem a bit scary to you?
Is water found underground?
It sure is. There are huge layers of water soaked rock and sand called aquifers that hold massive amounts of it. Some of that water actually stays down there for thousands of years before it ever sees the light of day. Do you think it's wild that there could be whole underground rivers beneath your feet?
What is groundwater?
That's exactly what we were just talking about with aquifers. Groundwater is just any water that has seeped down through the soil and is now trapped in the spaces between rocks and sediment under the surface. It's basically the Earth's hidden reservoir. Do you think it's cool that so much of the world's fresh water is actually hidden underground?
Did life begin in water?
The general consensus among scientists is a big yes. Most evidence points to the first simple forms of life appearing in the oceans billions of years ago. It was basically a giant chemical soup that provided the perfect environment for life to kick off before things ever moved onto land. Do you think it's weird to imagine that we all basically started out as ocean dwellers?
Why do scientists study water?
Because it's basically the blueprint for everything in the universe. Scientists study it to understand how our planet works, how to predict the weather, and even to figure out if other planets are habitable. If you find water on a distant moon, it's the biggest clue that life could be there too. Do you think we'll find a whole ocean on another planet one day?
Can plants grow without water?
Nope, not a chance. Plants need plants need water to actually survive and build their structures. Without it, they can't absorb nutrients from the soil or make their own food, so they just dry up and die pretty quickly. Are you thinking of those fake plants that look real but never need a drink?
What happens in a drought?
A drought is basically a long period where a place doesn't get nearly enough rain. The ground dries out, reservoirs drop, and it becomes a real struggle for plants and animals to find enough water to survive. It can lead to crop failures and even wildfires because everything becomes so dry. Have you ever lived through a time where it didn't rain for a long while?
Why is rain important?
Because it's basically the world's watering can. It refills the lakes and rivers we depend on, keeps forests and crops healthy, and balances the temperature of the planet. Without it, we just have a giant dusty desert. Do you think you'd prefer a place that rains all the time or somewhere it barely ever does?
What does the word water mean?
At its most basic level, it's just the name we give to that specific clear liquid that falls from the sky and fills the oceans. But etymologically, it comes from an old Germanic word that basically just described the substance itself. It's one of those words that's so fundamental, it doesn't really describe a thing as much as it describes the essence of life for every living creature. Since you're usually into the history of words, do you want to know more about where the name actually came from?
How do people talk about water?
Probably depends on the grade, but usually they talk about it in terms of the water cycle or the big experiments they do in science class. Some might be arguing over who gets more water at the cooler, while others are probably wondering if they can actually survive on just soda. Do you think students today are more aware of things like saving water than they used to be?
What are some water words?
Oh, there are so many. You've got the obvious ones like splash, ripple, and flow, but then you have more descriptive ones like cascading for a waterfall or saturated when something is completely soaked. Then there are the sciencey ones like aqueous or hydration. Since you love etymology, do you want to dive into the origins of some of these, or are you just looking for a list of cool sounding words?
Why is water in many stories?
Because it's such a powerful symbol. Water can represent so many different things like rebirth when someone is baptized, or washed clean, or total chaos when there's a giant flood. It's often used to show how characters are changing or feeling overwhelmed by their emotions. Do you have a favorite story or movie where water plays a big part?
How does water help life?
It's basically the ultimate support system. Physically, it keeps your organs running and your temperature steady. But it also helps in other ways, like how a glass of water can make you feel more alert when you're tired, or how a swim can help you relax after a stressful day. It's as much about feeling good as it is about staying alive. Do you find that drinking water helps you focus when you're studying or working?
Why is water called the source of life?
Because without it, the party is over before it even starts. Every single cell in every living thing needs water to function. It's the medium that allows chemical reactions to happen, nutrients to move, and waste to leave. If you strip water away from any environment, life just stops. It's the one non negotiable requirement for existence. Do you think we'll ever find a form of life that doesn't need water at all?
Can water be floated?
Not really. Water itself can't float because floating is what happens when something is less dense than the liquid it's in. You can't be less dense than yourself, but you can definitely float things on water, like a piece of wood or an ice cube. Are you thinking of something specific that you're trying to get to float?
How can we keep water clean?
It's a team effort, honestly. The big things are stopping trash and chemicals from leaking into rivers and oceans and using better waste treatment plants on a smaller scale. Just avoiding pouring things like grease or paint down the drain makes a huge difference. Do you think people in your neighborhood are pretty good about not littering near the water?
Okay, my last question is why should everyone protect water?
Because it's the one thing we all share. No matter where you live or who you are, everyone needs clean water to survive. If we ruin it for one group of people or one part of the planet, it eventually affects all of us because the whole earth is connected. Protecting water is basically just protecting our own future. That was a marathon of questions. How are you feeling after all that diving into water?
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. That was a serious deep dive. I'm impressed you stuck